Hello, I am Valerie Zumwalt, your host for Leadercast Women CoMo, and I just wanted to come to you again today to give you a little bit more details about what to expect on Friday. We are only 2 days away from an experience that you won't forget. Okay, an experience at Leadercast Women that is going to change your perspective on courage and fear. And so I am so excited getting ready for you. I just made all of your name tags today. And if you've ever been to one of my events before, you know I always say name tag day is my absolute favorite day of getting ready for an event because it allows me to, to think about you again. Right, I think about you as your ticket orders come in, and I see your names, and Amber's going to be joining us, and Lisa's going to be joining us. Right, I get to think about you as the tickets trickle in. But on name tag day, I get to look at all 113 names of these fabulous women that are going to be there on Friday, and think about you. And think about you sitting in those chairs and what this event is going to mean for you in your life. And so I just want to give you a little bit today, a little bit of a preview of what you're going to hear and what you can expect to get out of the day on Friday. As a reminder, yesterday's video kind of walks through some of the real logistic details, so be sure to go back and catch that one. The one that most people seem to be asking about is kind of that timeline for the day, so I'll start with that. Please arrive anytime between 8:15 and 9. We will start as close to on the dot at 9 o'clock as I can. I try to run very close to on time, so please arrive between 8:15, maybe 8:45 to be sure that you get in and get your coffee and breakfast and that kind of thing, okay? So I can't wait to see you Friday morning. So here's what you can expect. As you hopefully know, the theme for the day is Take Courage. So we're going to be talking a lot about examples of courage, and you're going to hear from some of our speakers their stories of courage, from women in male-dominated industries like Kate Delaney, a sports journalist, is going to tell us some locker room stories about being a woman of courage in that field. From Laura Ling, who was a captive in North Korea for 140 days, and she's going to tell us that story of courage. And trust me, that's one not to be missed. Taking on challenges of conflict resolution among diverse audiences from Priya Parker. One of my favorites, she closes out our day, Lavi Aziz, talking about truth to power, speaking truth to power in difficult circumstances. So our broadcast speakers, and again, our speakers are simulcast, our broadcast speakers are going to bring you a wide range of stories of courage. The speakers do appear via video, via simulcast. The live event happened in October in Atlanta, and so we are rebroadcasting it. I just like to make sure we have clarity on that. These speakers are not live. The only live speaker you get is me, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But the great part of doing the event this way is that it gives us really freedom of the agenda. Okay, so we are not going to just be sitting and listening all day. Okay, we are going to have discussion between speakers. You're going to have opportunities to kind of break down what you're hearing and what you're learning, how you're going to apply it, how the story resonated with you, what action items you heard, right? You're going to have time to do all of that throughout the day, and I will facilitate those conversations for you. So I'm going to ask you, as we get ready for Friday, that you kind of put yourself in the mental space of being ready to participate. Right? This is not going to be a passive experience, right? I'm going to ask you to talk about these stories. I'm going to ask you times that you've had to step up and take courage, and maybe sometimes that you didn't have courage to do the things that you want to do, that you claim you want in your life, right? We're going to get into some of those issues on Friday. And so I'm just asking you to become ready to participate and come ready to play full out, right? Don't be passive. right? You're going to invest the time. You or your employer has invested some money, and you and your employer have certainly invested the time for you to be there that day. And so come ready to play full out, okay? So my teaching throughout the day, I'm going to be facilitating that conversation between the speakers, but my original plan for this theme of Take Courage was I was going to give you kind of a 5-step framework for overcoming fear, right? We were going to talk about where fear comes from. We were going to talk about what fear is costing you. And we talk about how you overcome fear. And unfortunately, plans have changed a little bit. Some of you know that my mother-in-law had been battling cancer. And unfortunately, on Saturday, she did pass away last Saturday. It was horrible and beautiful at the same time. And so in some ways, it's its own story of courage. And so we actually are putting off the funeral, I guess you would say, until next weekend because of this event, this Leadercast Women event on Friday. She absolutely Beth would absolutely have wanted me to do it. She would have loved this event. She would absolutely want me to do it. Many of you may have met her. She attended Leadercast last May because she was retiring from her job and she was going to give me some input on how we could do that event better. One of her jobs in her career was putting on events and putting on parties, and I wanted her eye on the event of how I could do it better. And so I know she would want me to do it. But I need you to know that parts of this will be hard for me. Okay, there is no way. There's just no way for me to think about women of courage without seeing it through the filter of the battle that she fought with cancer in a very quick. She was just diagnosed in November. So there'd be no way for me to go through this day without thinking about her, without thinking about Beth, and obviously the impact that she had on my life and my kids and all of that. Okay, so I've personally never lost someone this close to me as my mother-in-law. So this is not an excuse by any means, but it is the reality of how I'll be able to show up on Friday. And I want to give you my absolute best. And she would want me to give you my absolute best. But it is just a reality of I'm not going to be able to teach in great depth the 5 lessons that I wanted to give you. Okay, I'm just going in with the awareness that that's going to be too hard for me. So I'm going to show up the best I can. I'm going to give you my very best that I can by facilitating that discussion. And I am going to teach you one piece of it. I'm going to teach you my ABCs. I think I can at least get through that. I'm going to give you my ABC model of fear and consequences. So I am going to give you one little piece of it, but I am going to ask you to do some of the heavy lifting on that too. I'm going to give you kind of the framework, and then you may have noticed yesterday in the agenda that I sent that we're going to have a working lunch. And so over that lunch, I'm going to give you the model to work through and to discuss at your table. So again, another chance for you to participate and to play full out. Okay, so since I'm not going to be able to give you all of that content on Friday, I am going to make the full teaching available via video after the event. So I will teach the whole concept. I will teach the whole model of fear and where fear comes from and how we can overcome it. I am going to teach all of that, and it's still my pleasure to give it to you. I'm just not going to be able to do it the best way. I'm not going to be able to serve you well by doing it Friday. So I am going to do it on video, and it will be available. I'm going to ask for you to give me the grace of saying that it will be available either the week of February 10th or February 17th. I'm pretty much going to give myself next week as a buffer because I don't know how. I may feel like getting back to normal, and I'm just going to give myself the option of I might not. Okay, so sometime mid-February, somewhere the week of the 10th or the 17th, I will promise you that you will have that whole teaching available. And I think it actually may make, try to harvest the good out of it. It may actually make for a nice way to come back to this content and to these thoughts after you've gotten away from the day of the event, and kind of as a refresher or as a retouch for that. So, and I'll of course let you know how you can get access to all that teaching. We'll talk about that on Friday, okay? Until then, I cannot wait to see you on Friday. I cannot wait to hear your stories of courage that I'm going to ask you to share throughout the day. I cannot wait to serve you and to provide you with an excellent event at Leadercast Women on Friday. As always, if you have questions or need something between now and Friday, please do not hesitate to reach out via email, via text, via Facebook message. I can't wait to see you on Friday.